Hey, I'm back, and today we're trying to figure out how to fur the bus, or strap the bus, or put wood on the sides of the bus. No, we're not making a woody. What we are trying to do is put something between all of these ribs. I'm starting up top, it's sides too. Something between all of these ribs that we can use to kind of give us an idea about the depth on the spray foam and can also be used to attach the steel when everything's said and done. No, not the steel. There's already steel. Something that we can use to attach the paneling that's going on the inside. So there were a lot of different options that we thought about. A lot of people do this with plywood, which is one of the ways that we went. Although plywood's a little bendy, although it is nice, it's homogeneous, meaning that they've sort of averaged out all of the different parts of the plywood so that it's probably all basically the same inside. It's been processed a little more than natural wood. So some people do plywood. I had originally thought that it might be an interesting idea to use the same Advantech that's on the floor. Quick test says it's really, really not. I put it up against the windows and pushed, and it took very little force to break the Advantech. Good in the floors, bad in the walls. So it's awesome. It's not what it's meant to do, but I kind of like the stuff on the floor, so thought I'd give it a shot. Not doing that. So what we ended up with, after spending more time than I really wanted to wandering around Home Depot, that seems to be sort of a Skoolie build thing. Anyways, what we came up with is we're going to actually just use strapping. There are advantages and disadvantages. Advantages. It's actually a lot stronger than the Advantech on a similar width. It's fiber based. The fibers all run in the right direction. Yada yada yada. It's certainly been tested for this type of thing before. They use it to hold up ceilings, plaster ceilings and stuff in buildings. So it's a known quantity. So that's an advantage. What is another advantage? It's not super expensive, and it's already the right width. I'm not going to have to cut it down. If I bought plywood, I have to cut it down. So I have to make 23, really 24 cuts for every single one of those. It's 23 cuts and then 24 if I want to make it all the same width. So I'd have to process the plywood down to be a 2-inch strap. I'm actually gonna go 3-inch strap. Disadvantage is it's not as homogeneous, honestly. If there's a crack in the strapping, that's a weak part. We're gonna have to work around that. If there's a crack in one ply of a piece of plywood, if there's a crack in a piece of strapping, it's cracked. We are going to put 2 layers of strapping on. Is that to get us to close to a good 3-inch depth on the walls. I should actually measure that out. The other disadvantage of strapping is that it's not quite as thick as 3/4-inch plywood. So 3/4-inch plywood, you stick it up here, we have a strap here. It's going to come out 3/4 of an inch, it's going to come out another 3/4 of an inch, inch and a half out, plus the whatever you got here. You got to get a good amount of place for spray foam. Honestly, we're not going to live in this thing. Spray foam is nice. More insulation is always more better, but it's not critical for us. I think that having between 1/8 and 1/4 of an inch less spray foam isn't going to kill us. So, and interestingly, it all priced out to be about the same, but we went with the strapping. So what I'm going to do next is actually start thinking about putting down some strips of strapping on the wall. I'll set up a time lapse for that. The plan, and I have to check it, so I'll probably check back in with you as to whether or not this works. The plan is to attach the strapping um, using a tech screw, which is self-drilling. So it should drill right through the metal, or it should drill right through the wood and right through the metal and sink itself into the metal and hold it on nicely. That's the first layer. And the second layer, I think we're going to try to do with a deck mate, basically like the deck mate version of a sheetrock screw. Phillips head, self-drilling. So hopefully it doesn't split it. I guess the first thing I should do is try to actually set up a time lapse and zip a couple of these things onto the wall and see how we feel about it. See if it's going to work out right. Here we go. Okay, so 2 trips to Home Depot later, we've learned a lesson. Went there originally and we picked up this stuff, which is a strapping. We talked about that. And we picked up some 1-inch tech screws. And since 1 inch is theoretically half an inch bigger than this stuff, thought that was going to be great. Here's the thing. 1 inch is a little tricky to show. When we put it up here, just the threads, let's try it again. With the 1 inch, when we put it up here, the threads just barely clear the wood down here. One would almost say they don't quite clear the wood down here. And they don't stick to the wall. Or they do sometimes, but it's hard. So, back to Home Depot, we picked up some 1.5 inch. These go right through, have a little bit to grab, and these can pull the wood to the wall when it's slightly pushed off, which when we have things like this flashing here, pushes it off the wall slightly. So, things we've learned, a few things. One, don't ask the people at Home Depot if they have self-tapping screws. They gave us the little tiny packages on the wall. Totally the wrong thing. They were right next to the tech screws, which we eventually found after looking all over the store. 2, get screws that are slightly longer than you think you need. There's probably a third, but I don't have it right now. Be prepared to go back to Home Depot? I don't know. At any rate, this is working. I may have to go back and get even more of the 1.5 inch because I have a lot more of the 1 inch. They are a lot cheaper. I'm going to see if I can do the 1 inch where I don't have this awesome flashing. Or I might be going back to Home Depot tomorrow. At any rate, I'm going to go have some dinner. And I might sneak back out here and throw up a few more pieces of strapping. I might leave it all for the morning. We'll see. Oh, good morning. So, one of the more challenging parts of bus conversion for me is that I spend a lot of time figuring out how I want to get something done. And that makes it hard to actually get the stuff done. So last night, I got not quite one bit of strapping done. In fact, I got about 3/4 of that one done. And then it was time to go to bed. Or at least time to be done making noise outside the bus. Because inside the bus acts as sort of a drum, and when I am using an impact driver on it, it is apparently quite loud inside the house. And the kids need to go to bed. So, today, I am picking up where I left off, having figured out how to attach this stuff, and now I'm going to race myself to actually get it attached. I'm also going to take a break midway through and go apple picking, as is a family tradition, so here we go. Alrighty, well, not everyone's feeling so hot, so we are backing out a bit early this week and heading home. I don't know exactly when the time lapse kicked off, but we got probably a third. Everyone a third?
A third.
Got like a third of the furring done. Still have to do basically all of the ceiling and a bunch of the driver's side. But we have a system now, and that's a good thing. Also, we were down to having 7 of one type of screw left, so we weren't going to last much longer anyways.
And glue.
And we still have more than half a tube of glue. So, at any rate, we were running out of stuff. So, we decided to bag it, head home, and we are gonna hit it again next week. I will, in the intervening week, buy a whole bunch of the screws that actually work, which are the 1.5" Tech self-tappers, and then the sharp point or the drill bit point style deckmate 1.25". And I can talk next week about what we use for what, although it's probably pretty obvious. That's it for this week. I would be remiss if I did not tell you. Actually, what do I have to tell them to do? Anyone?
Max, what does Daddy have to tell them to do?
I forgot.
All right, never mind. Like I said, not everyone's feeling great. We need to... I'm supposed to tell you to like, subscribe, ring the bell, and leave a comment. Tell me what screw you think goes where. I don't know. At any rate, no matter what you do, until next week, have a great week.